program, as Bill Hennessy alluded to earlier, but I did want to say 3 or 4 things, and then, as Dana said so well, fellowship. First of all, I'm sorry I'm late, but I want to tell you why. I promised my daughter that we would go to a parade on the 4th of July, because it's, as she says, it's the birthday of our country. So we got up this morning and it was raining, and my daughter, who's 5 years old, came in my room and she said, "It's raining. We can't go to the parade." And I said, "That's not quite right. We're going to the parade." And I said, "We're going to go to the parade, and then we're going to go to the tea party, and we're going to go." She said, "But it's raining." I said, "Well, we're just going to put on our hat and our coat and go to the parade." So we went to the parade in Webster Groves. And I will tell you that the VP, which stands for very important people, it's not exactly right, but the VP, the really highbrow folks in downtown St. Louis, they canceled their parade because it was a little rainy. Which, I don't know if you know, George Washington was going to cancel that little trip across the river. He was going to tell the lads, just bunker down in Valley Forge because it was kind of rainy. And they decided, well, we better keep going. So anyway, my daughter and I went to the parade. And what I wanted to tell you about the parade, which is one of the things that I was charged with to talk about. We walked the route of the parade in Webster Groves. And there's a lot of liberals in Webster Groves. I don't know if you know. Very well-educated people, clean fingernails. You know, I didn't see a lot of beer cans along the route. You know, there was wine coolers. And, you know, they didn't have firecrackers. They had kind of very sort of well-formed kind of, you know, Roman candle thing, very gentle. But we went the route, and I'll tell you, and I talked to some people that have walked that parade, and they said they've never seen anything like it. Because the people were saying, well, I was with a group of Republicans. It was one of the township committees and a bunch of people wearing Republican shirts. And the people were saying, "Go get them. We need help. Impeach Obama." That was another popular one, but go get them. And they were saying things like, "We need to stop what's going on. We need to, you know, we need to get involved." I stopped and I said to one woman, looking like a mild-mannered, clean fingernails, you know, $25 manicure, and she yelled out something, and I stopped and I talked to her, and she said, "I just don't know what's going on. They're changing everything so fast. We've got to stop this." So we walked the whole route, my daughter and I, and my son, and my other son, and my wife, and my other wife. No, I'm just kidding. That's in Utah. And we had this great American experience of people saying, "Go get them." And then I raced out here and I had to follow Dana, and that's kind of a downer, but it's just tough to do. But the reason I wanted to mention something is I've been involved in politics and policy. I'm a lawyer. I've sued Governor Blagojevich. I've sued the state of Missouri. I've sued the federal government. I've been sued by a bunch of different people. I represented Josh Carter. You may have heard of Josh Carter. He's an American. And Josh Carter had the temerity to express his displeasure with the stimulus bill. And as a result, he had the FBI at his house. He had the FBI question everybody that he ever hung out with. And guess what? Josh didn't go to Harvard. Josh didn't go to even Mizzou. Josh got a job. And he worked, and he worked, and he worked. He still does. He might even be here. He's my friend first. But the FBI came, and you know what Josh said? He didn't say what they think we all would say, which is, "Go pound sand, you sons of goodness." What he said was, "I got nothing to hide. I did nothing wrong. I wouldn't hurt anybody. I wouldn't hurt their property. I wouldn't do anything to bother people. And what do you want to talk about?" So I represented Josh. And I fought and fought in lots of different ways. And I've been around politics. And what I want to tell you is every one of you being here is changing the dynamic for our elected officials. Even the good guys. And there are a lot of them. Jim Lemke was here. Jim Lemke is a good guy. Jim Lemke's a state senator who, by all accounts, his own party and the opposing party try to beat him because he stands up for principles, he reads books on the founding, and he hangs in tough. And Jim Lemke was here, and even Jim Lemke walked away, and he was leaving, and he said, "This is amazing." See, the elected officials see what's going on, and they feel it. And on one level, they respect it, and on another level, it scares them. And both are really good. So what I want to say to you, Brian Nieves is here. Brian Nieves is a state rep, another guy who's been a great friend to conservatives, fiscal conservative. He's running for state senate, and he's here. You go up to Brian Nieves, ask him what he stands for, but I'll tell you what, he will tell you that he is impressed, and he's not, intimidate's the wrong word, but but politicians know votes, and they know what's going on. He's really, talk to Brian Nieves, and what you're doing is making a difference. And when you tell your friends, they tell other friends and they talk about it. It makes a big difference. This cap and trade, the national energy tax that was just voted on, this is starting to capture the attention of our brothers and sisters that are working and they don't have time maybe for this. I went down into South City and I was in a restaurant having breakfast, and I started talking to the guy behind the bar. And it was a bar restaurant. I wasn't drinking yet, but it was a bar restaurant. And I said to him, he's the owner, I said, what do you know about this cap and tax thing? And he said, well, I know if my energy costs go up 5 or 7% every year for the next 10 years, it'll only take me 2 years to be out of business. And he's a Democrat. This is South City. He's a Democrat. And he said, and I'll tell you another thing. I sent an email to Russ Carnahan asking him not to vote for it. And he said he voted for it, and Russ Carnahan has put me out of business, just like Randy MacArthur said. But he said what insulted me more was that Russ Carnahan's people, not even Russ, didn't even send him back an email, didn't call, didn't care, just did what they wanted to do. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you saw, Roy Blunt was here, and Roy Blunt has gotten really fired up about this cap and trade and the cap and tax. And I'll tell you, I asked him, he's fired up because he knows what it can do, but he also knows he's an elected official. He knows what we're doing. He sees what's happening, and he feels what we're feeling. And the more people like Roy Blunt and people like Brian Nieves and people like Jim Lemke see us, feel us, respect us, and sometimes fear us, the better off the country will be. So please don't give up what you're doing. Don't ever get discouraged. Send emails, send letters, write letters to the editor. Write a letter to the editor today. The paper won't publish it, but send it to a blog, and they'll put it on. There's Brian Nieves right over here. Brian Nieves is over in this corner. And send out, there he is, great guy. Great guy. And actually, he's from out in this neck of the woods too. He's a great guy. Come over and he'll stay here all day. Come talk to him. He'll help you and understand. And he's a super guy. But
business. Put a sign in front.
Right. That's a good point. Randy MacArthur, who spoke, is actually the as brothers go, and I've got one. I've got a brother who's just up the river here, up the Missouri River. He's at Leavenworth. I always said he'd end up in Leavenworth for some of what he's done, but he's actually in the Marine Corps, and he got stationed at Leavenworth, which is another story. But Randy's got a brother who's a lot like my brother, which is to say coarser and dumber. No, I'm just kidding. And I say it because David MacArthur's son is a Marine, and he's in boot camp, and he's going to deploy to the theater, Afghanistan or Iraq. And David MacArthur is not here, wanted to be here. He's not here because his boy is home for a 3-day, 72-hour leave, and they're together and they're doing, probably drinking some beer. But back to my point yeah, David, I don't know if Randy MacArthur's still here, but yeah, Randy's over there, and I hope he'll tell his brother David and his son Moose thank you for his service. But at the end of the day, lost my train of thought. Brian Nieves distracted me.